All right. So till then, you all can let me know about your name, about your course, college, and the year of graduation in the chat box. Like, I would love to know that. So you all are requested to type in the name of your college, course, and maybe your expectations that why you have joined this session. And if there is any specific questions that you want to ask the mentor, feel free to type that in the chat box and just give your quick introduction in the chat box quickly. I'm waiting for your introductions. Hi, Manoj. Okay, you're from second year, PES University. All right. Do we have any more introductions here? Gaganjot Kaur VT. Okay, okay. Oh, that's from service organization only. Okay, so we have school students also, like you're studying in class 9 and you've joined this masterclass. Amazing. So what is your expectation? Like, I would like to know that. You're a school student. Is there any specific? Hi, Divyanshu. Hi, Harsh. Okay, we have students from MSIT, VIIT, Pune. Right. Well, actually, I asked you that why you have, like, is there any specific reason for joining this masterclass? Because we usually have college students and you're a school student. So do you have any particular expectations or anything in your mind? Hi, Akshat. Hi, Bhumi. Okay, we have students from iGReducer as well. I want to learn about code. That is so amazing to see your enthusiasm and excitement at this age. I hope you learn something amazing by the end of this masterclass. Hi, Sarvesh. Yes. Others, quickly give your introductions. We'll be starting in the next 2 minutes. Do we have any more introductions, guys? Or any specific expectations that you have from this session? Anything? Like, you're here to get your code reviewed, or you're here to learn something new, or are you here for the one-on-one mentorship session with the mentor? You want to ask anything particular question to him? Okay, so I guess you're done with the questions. Mr. Varun, are you, like, can we start the masterclass? Are you there?
Yes, yes.
All right, I'll just quickly put you in the spotlight. Just a second. All right. So we are starting up with this master class. So firstly, I would like to introduce myself. So I am Kashish Viduri and I'm the student community head at MyWays, and I will be your host for today's session. And firstly, thank you so much everyone for joining in and showing your enthusiasm for today's session. And we hope that you actually find this session insightful and learn something by the end of this. So to start with, I would like to tell you about MyWays too. So it is an AI and career growth platform for the students. We aim to help them in being employable in their desired role. So basically, we provide them with internship opportunities, courses, training sessions, and we also help the students to track their growth. And apart from that, we also conduct weekly master classes on every Saturday. So today is one of the master classes only, wherein every week we have a separate domain and a new mentor, and we make the students to learn something new. So today we have Mr. Varun Parashar, and he is the mentor for today's masterclass on React. He is an associate vice president of engineering at VT Network, and he's having experience of 10 years, and he has intensive experience working in web development and expertise in React. So he will be taking up today's masterclass and doing the code reviews. So let me quickly take you that what all we are going to do today and what is the basic agenda. So today, firstly, we will be reviewing few projects live here on this masterclass of the 4 shortlisted candidates. Then there will be insights on advanced React patterns. And then at the end, there will be personalized feedback from the mentor, right? So without any further ado, I guess we can start. Over to you, Mr. Varun.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Kashish, for sharing about me and giving me the opportunity to have this session. I think before starting the session, let's get set some stage. I just want to know, like, how how much will you rate yourself in React out of 10? You can share that in chat. 7, 6, 7.5, 8. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the insights. Uh, okay. What do you think, like, whenever we are building the React application, what do you think, how much do you care about code quality and following best practices? Uh, Rate out of 10 again. 5, 8, 5.69, Sarvesh, Sheikh 8.5. That's pretty good. All right. So let me give you a brief. Maybe from this, you may get the insight that if I am the right person to share the details with you. So if you have doubts like, should I be creating the class component or should I be creating the functional component? Should I be using useState hook or should I be using uh, useReducer hook? Should I be using context API or should I be using some state management library, maybe Redux, Jotai, or any other library? Or maybe you are aware of some React patterns, or you feel that you don't know means which particular pattern you should be using in this particular scenario. And if you feel that these are the questions or doubts that you usually have, and then I think I will be sharing about those doubts in this session itself. Uh, so whenever we talk about code quality or doing the code reviews, uh, in real sense in the industry, there are different layers of doing the code reviews. So it is not like someone is looking at the code, doing the manual review, and things are done. So there are different layers of doing the code quality check. Uh, First of all, we make sure that your editor is equipped with all the installed extensions. Linters are installed over there. Apart from that, there is a automated code quality check in the organization. Like in our organization, we use SonarQube. You can write that down. SonarQube. SonarQube is a tool which will scan your entire application and give you the complete cleaner dashboard where it will show you that what are the things which needs improvement. It will show you different code smells, the quality rating of your application. So once SonarQube thing is done, then as a reviewer, we do it as a manual review where we look at these basic general checks from these SonarQube code quality linters. And apart from that, we then look into the approach level things like, have you actually used the right logic? Have you actually divided your component into sub components? Are you doing the prop drilling or you are using some state management library and all? Then we do the approach level check. Apart from that, once this layer is done, then what we do is we do performance optimization check. Now, what is performance optimization check? So it is not only about, I am building the application, I am seeing the output and everything is done. No, we also need to see if my application is performant. Is it fast enough to handle the requests? Is it like the application is loading on the fly, or it is taking too much time? So we do check the performance of the application using the profiling tools. You might be here of you might have heard about the extension called React Profiler. So it is a React Dev Tools extension that you can install in the Google Chrome. Based on that, we actually look at how many re-renders are happening. Is it a slow render? Means which particular component is consuming so much time to load. So that is the next check, that is performance optimization. Apart from that, the next part is I as a VPE or maybe our leads, what they do is they create a complete code review sheet where they will share each and everything regarding uh, the positives, negatives, areas of improvement that are required in the application. Uh, so these are the basic checks, and this is the whole idea about this code review thing. Once this is done, we initiate it with the developer. We go one-on-one with the developer, and then we discuss about each and every point that why there is a need of improvement in this particular area, so that developer should also get the insight that okay, that's the right way, that's not the right way of doing this stuff. Once this review is done, one-on-one connect with the developer is done, then we move to the next stage, that is the refactoring. So in the refactoring, whatever the reviewer has shared with you, it will be refactored. You will be dividing this review into different sections, and then you will separately be refactoring the main application parts where means we have given you the feedbacks. So overall, that's the whole idea of how to do the code reviews. Let me now I think I can share my screen, and we can move on to the doing the code reviews. I have opened the application of Harsh Rajendra. So let me share my screen. Guys, let me know once you can see my screen. Is my
Yes,
screen visible?
yes, sir, your screen is visible. I'll also unmute her. Harsh, I'm unmute, giving you the permission to unmute. Can contribute in between.
Okay. So guys, these are the general points that I just shared with you, like code quality lints, general code quality rules, approach, state management strategy, performance optimization, and refactoring. Before that, I also want to share with you regarding the Git practices that everyone should be using. Like in the application, whenever there is a module, we create a feature branch for that project. Once the feature branch is created, there will be different commits by the team members. Once the module gets completed, what they will do is they will create a merge request. Once the merge request is created, the lead or the main senior resource will be getting the notification that there is a new merge request, merge it in the development branch, let's say. Then in that part also, he will be looking at the code quality tool, that is SonarQube, to look at the different optimizations or problems that are required in this application. Apart from that, they will also do the manual review, and then once everything is ready, only then they will accept that merge request. Okay, so I think now we can move to this application. First of all, kudos to Harsh who has built this application. I hope Harsh you are here. Uh, okay, guys.
Harsh, it will be better if you can, unmute yourself for the review. If not, then chat is also okay, but unmuting will make it even more better. Thank you.
uh, yes. So first of all, look at this application. Whenever we build means review the application, we first look at the package.json file, and we see what are the different dependencies that has been installed in this application. So I can see that Lodash is used, basic React and char library is used in this application. I can see testing library is also there, but I don't see any test. I think these comes by default with React. Okay. Now what we do is we go to index.js. Here I can see that we have this, the start of the application is from index.js itself. Uh, and then we have app.js. So the first problem that I see in this application is that this is the component which is not doing anything. It is just a div, but it is empty. Uh, and you are not utilizing app.js, but you are actually using index.js here. Okay, so I don't see the meaning of having this file in this application. So if we have this index.js file, uh, first thing that you must make sure is that your application should be using prettier, and there should be proper spacing in this application. So there should be spaces like this, so that we know that means it is not only about writing the good code, it should also be like you are writing the cleaner code. You guys are author of your code, you guys are artist, so try to write the code in a way that if someone is reading your code, he should feel comfortable, he should not be feeling tensed that what is happening. He should not be, means he should be able to connect the dots very quickly. Okay, another point that I would like to share is that right now in the imports, you can see that you are mixing the imports. Here we have third-party imports, right? Means these are not user-defined. Then we have this index.css, all right, and then we have this, means these are third-party imports. They should be separated. Apart from that, these CSS, I would recommend import the CSS at the end like this. Okay. Apart from that, there is another practice where what few devs do is they try to import things in a dictionary format. Like rather than having HCT, they will first import crypto and then they will import crypto details and all. Okay. Uh, so there is not much to review in this file. So what we can do is we can go to this home directory. Uh, So here you will see that this is the folder structure. We have components, we have contexts, we have pages. And I would say that this is the good structure because he has used the context API. There are 3 contexts in this application, which is good. Then we have components, but in components, I don't see any specific thing like these are form components or these are UI related, only basic or stateless components. The good thing about this is the convention, like in components, I can see that the file names all are starting with the capital letter. So now I think we can go to this home screen. In this home screen, he has used the context API, the provider, you can see this crypto provider. So there are 2 things. I think I can see that this application is only having 3 or 4 pages, and it's not a complex application. The good decision that Harsh has taken is that he has thought that uh, the state complexity is not much, so he should not be going with some state management library or like Redux or Jotai or any other library. He has tried utilizing the context API here, which is good. Apart from that, what he has done is he has used context in a smarter way. So what he has done is in this context provider, he is actually returning crypto context dot provider, and he is providing all the values which are required. And you are using this children prop, which means that in case I have to use this crypto context, I just have to use this upper tag, which is a good practice. Okay, but I will not go to context at this moment. What we can do is we can maybe we can pick any particular file. Like he has created a file called, let's open save.js. All right. So let's review this file. So here, first thing I can notice is that what is saved? I'm not sure what is the meaning of saved. So the file name should be relevant here. Apart from that, there is no code comment in this component. I would recommend that you should add code comments as well. Apart from that, here I can see that you have used storage context, which is where you are using this save data and reset, which is fine. Apart from that, you are using crypto context. That is also fine. But what is not fine is this return method. So you can see that the size of this return method, it is around 180 lines of code, and it is only the complete HTML, right? First of all, what I can see here is that you have created a table, and in the table, this is the head, right? And then this is the table body. Apart from that, what I'm seeing is that there is already a table component, right? So here it is again the same thing. So if I would be at your end, what I would have done is I should have created a normal table component where I should be dividing it into table heads and table body, and I should have passed these via the props or maybe via the state, so that I should be knowing that, okay, these are the columns which are required for this particular table. So right now, even looking at the code, I would have feel that, okay, this is becoming very complex, how to read it. Okay. But it is not, it's not a problem. It is just like you just have to create a separate component, create the header component and the body component, and pass the values accordingly. Okay. And second thing is, so you are adding a check, like if we have this saved data and save data dot map. So rather than having these these are called inline functions, rather than having these inside this component, rather what you can do is you can take this component or and shift it into a separate function, or maybe like this. So like this, you can do like this, and then uh, you make an add like this save. So it will increase the readability of my render function. So first rule of writing clean code in React is your returns, your HTML UI, the render should be small, and if it is large, it is bigger. What you have to do is see what is missing. Maybe you require something like, maybe you need to split it into another component, maybe you have to create a separate function and return the JSX from that. Okay, so here you are saying that if save data is there, show the save data. You are looping through it, right? Here also, what I can see is that you are using data, and then you are using data.id, data.image, right? And then data.symbol, data.name. Now here, the problem is, uh, the good practice says that rather than using this data.id, try to do destructuring here. Maybe whatever you require, try to destructure it like this. Like you can say ID, image, name, and all, and use the values directly over here. So you don't need to use data.id, data.image. And it is not only improving the quality of my code, it is also improving the performance of my application, because whenever you are accessing the property of an object, it will always do the prop chaining thing. It will do the prop lookup and then get the value. So it is like if I'm writing the data.id, behind the scenes in JavaScript, it is checking, okay, ID, and then in the prop, okay, it is belongs to data, it exists, okay, return it. So rather than having those checks every time here and here, it will be better if you do the restructuring over there itself. Okay. Similarly, like here, I can see that you have used internationalization and you're providing it like this. Rather, I would suggest you to create a utility class or utility file where you can directly convert the value and just use it over there. Maybe, maybe like this. intl. So again, what it will do is it will improve the organization of the application. Apart from that, it will be minimizing the code of my render function. Okay, so I think now we can close this method and let's move to the else part. Here you are saying that there is no data to display. Okay, so being a developer, it is not like you can use any kind of data. See, uh, and this is also coming from the HTML itself. First of all, this text should be coming from the constant. It should be using the internationalization. Only then you should be using this. Even the message should be meaningful. So maybe you may add no records found. Try to be more professional. Of course, client will be sharing the details with you, but in case you are building the application for yourself, try to make it as professional as you can. And rather than directly using the text over here in the HTML, try to split it in the constants and use the constant over here. So maybe you can say no records. Okay. All right. Another point in your return method, I know that whenever you need to have some conditionals, we need to add such kind of checks, but prefer not to use ternary operators, because the more ternary operators you have in the application, the more it will be difficult to read the application. So it's better if you can avoid using ternary operators, especially the nested ternary operators. I have seen this as a common practice, even in even with experienced developers, like they will have nested try catches. Okay, now let's move to the next part. Here I can see that you have included this SVG. Rather than having it like this, try to create a separate component, stateless component, and try to render it over there. It will also reduce the size of my render. Apart from that, what I can see is you have created this footer here, right? But I am just wondering, like project created by Harsh Upadhyay. So rather than having it in every page, so if I look at the home, no, it is not over there. See, it is over there. So rather than having this footer means added everywhere manually, what you have to do is just copy it, create a separate component, and include this component, this footer component, in every page. Because this is the most basic and most common thing. Why I am using React? Because I want to have better UIs, I want to have better maintenance, and I want to reuse as much as I can, right? But here you have the privilege to use to have reusability, but you are repeating the things here. So it will be good if you can create like in the components you can create a directory, and then you can add the layouts where you can add that, okay, this is my footer, this is my header. Create a separate header component, separate footer component, try to pass the data from there. Okay, uh, so that's about saved file. We can move to the trending file. So in real reviews, it is not like we have to review each and every line one by one. What we usually do is, in real scenario, what we do is we just pick one commit. So from that commit, we do share the detailed feedback. It is not like if my real application is having, let's say, hundreds of files and I am reviewing each and every file. No, that work is already been done by SonarQube, the automated tool. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give the complete manual touch, where I will specifically pick the most critical module of the application. Okay. So now let's move to the next page, that is trending.js. Here again, the same feedback. You should have the proper formatting, and here you are using this trending context. See, like I think this is good. Like now you have used if trending data, then trending data dot map, and you are showing it. So we have data dot coin and coin dot item. For coin.item here, you can again do the destructuring. There again, you have the SVG. For SVG, I would recommend you to means it is from the button. Uh, so here you have used a button. What I would recommend is for all the form related components, just create a separate directory like forms. Okay, for form, and then you create all the common form elements that you think the application can have. Like in this case, the button is the component that I see. Then what I will do is I will create the button component, and inside the button component I will make it more configurable, so that rather than using this button, I will actually create the button component and add the content accordingly. Similarly, if I am using input tags, so what I will do is rather than creating writing normal input types, I will create a common input component. And in that input component, I will define a switch case where I will add that, okay, this input type is text, this input type is email or number or file. Uh, so it is it is better if you can take these components and make the take these uh, HTML tags and make a common component out of it. Similarly, I think regarding this, I have already shared the feedback that rather than using the means adding this manually everywhere, try to copy paste the thing. uh, Means try to create a separate component and import it over there. Okay, now let's move to the next part, which is context, because context is having the main business logic. Uh, so if we look at this crypto provider, we have this crypto provider. The first thing I would say is that like you have used useState here, useState hook, and I would recommend try to group your use states. The good thing about this is like you are using the single responsibility principle. It is not like you are using a use state where you are creating the nested object. For every particular thing, you have created a state. Uh, but another thing that I'm seeing is that you have not assigned any default value to these use states. Means what is the default value of crypto data? Is it null? Is it empty? What is it? Is it the array? Is it the empty array? Try to have it over there, and even try to have a code comment for this particular thing. Similarly, like you are using the currency here, so you have manually added the USD. Maybe in future you can have multiple currencies support, right? So try to have a constant, maybe the array of currencies, and use the particular currency over there. So rather than hard coding it, try to have it means specific. What you can have is you can have a configuration file, and in the configuration you can set that what should be the default currency. Similarly, for sorting, I think you can use the constant. Okay. Similarly, for I I think here you have tried adding the logic for pagination. So we have this pagination logic. What I would have done is I should have created a separate hook, custom hook, which will be handling the pagination only, because this is about crypto provider. I should be sharing the information about crypto provider only. Pagination is a thing which can be reused. Maybe you have n number of listing in your application, so I can have a common logic for my pagination. What I would have done is I should have created a separate custom hook and use that custom hook to support pagination in my application. Like in crypto provider, I can have it in that manner. Similarly, you have added this like 250 10 per page total pages. So rather than having it like this, try to have a configuration where you can set the default values for your application. All right, so now we can move to the methods. All right. uh, So you have used get crypto data, get coin data, get search results. All right. And this reset function. Uh, so get crypto data. What I can see here is that uh, this this URL. Similarly, I think, see. This is the same URL, right? This is the same URL. The base URL is same till coin. So rather than repeating this base URL, what you can actually do is just copy this base URL, okay, add it in your config or in your constant and include it over there. So maybe in future there is some, you need to make some changes in the base URL, you don't need to make the changes in different context. Maybe I'm not sure if it is there in, see, like in storage context also you have used this URL, right? In trending context also you have used this base URL. So it is advisable, like, you try to, separate out the things so that whenever in future you need to make changes, you are only making the change in one, at one place. Apart from that, here you are creating the, making the API hit. What I would suggest is, rather than having the API hit directly in this, try to create your own handler for making the API hits, where you can mention that, okay, I need to have debouncing logic, I need to set some headers, I need to make changes in the interceptors. So if you have your API hitting logic separated, it will be very good for you. Uh, Next thing I can see is that you have this try catch block, but here the catch is only logging the stuff, because only a developer can see that, okay, there is some error in the log, but to the end user, he is not going to know that what is happening. So as a reviewer, I will say that error handling is not done in the correct way. So what you have to do is, maybe you can create a separate error class or a error object, extend it and handle it in a proper manner, maybe in the layouts, or maybe you can have a pop-up which will say something went wrong or something else is not right, or something is not right. So never, means, it's good that you have used try catch, but your try catch should not be empty, it should have the proper error handling logic in there. Another thing that I see here is that you are using async await, but you are then using then here, and if it is okay, then you are using again await, right? Uh, so if you are already using async await, I won't prefer using the then, because this async await is providing me the synchronicity functionality, right? If I am still using this callback thing, then I don't see the point of using async await here. Similarly, I see that there is the error handling thing. I think this is not correct. If this is correct, I want to have a code command that what this section is actually doing. Because according to me, what you are doing is, if response is okay, return response.json. Okay. Else you are throwing the error. Then what is the point of these catch blocks? Means, I think this particular functionality can be handled in a better way. Similarly, here I can see that set total pages. You are setting 13220, means I want to know the context, like why there is 13220 pages. What is the significance of this particular thing? So I hope that you have got the clarity. We have to be very specific. If we are using async await, it is good. You should be wrapping it in try catch. And if you have a catch, cache should not be empty. If there is, if response is okay, it is true. Then if it is error, or if it is empty, if, then you have to handle it in a better manner. Maybe you can write a separate error handler function and then handle it in a better manner. Now let me close this. I think similar feedback here as well. Dot then you are using this. Another thing is, like, you are using console logs, but in real life, it is not a good practice. But because in the production application, you should not be logging any consoles. A console means you should not be printing any logs. Okay, so in development build we require the logs, in production builds we don't require the logs. What you should do is create a separate function, let's say print logs, add a configuration. If logging is enabled, if it is a development build, enable the logs, show the logs, else don't show the logs. So rather than doing it every in rather than having it in every file, removing or adding it repetitively, what you can do is you can configure it. Just create a separate file, like just create a file, function print log, like this. And if dev console.log, and then you can add the data. Okay, else you don't need to do anything. Similarly, I can see this get result. I think the same feedback. Okay, so now we can move to the next, that is storage context. In this storage context, uh, the common thing here I see is the missing comments. Similarly, I'm not sure what this particular code is doing. See, overall, I am feeling that this code is a bit complex. It is hard to understand. So try to separate it out. Maybe I can see that it is save coin, remove coin, get saved data, right? What you can actually do is maybe you can create a reducer function, try to separate out your logic, because in case I want to do the unit testing of this storage context, it is going to be very complex, and this storage provider is doing so many things. Try to segregate it into different parts, otherwise it is going to become more complex. Here you have used this use effect. Apart from that, I think it is always a best practice to wrap every function in the try catch. Okay, I can see this, like you have only added try catch at few places, but what will happen if there is some error at this side? What will happen if there is some error happen here? Okay, so you should have this error handling logic, means in every function. Uh, then you are using all coins get saved data. This is the get saved data here. This is the most common logic. See the pattern here. Try catch, then I'm normal making the fetch request. Similar is with crypto. Try catch, then similar here. So as a React or front-end developer, try to separate out things and make it common, so that whenever there is some change I need to make in the API hits, I can do it at one place. Uh, Rest, I would expect the comments over there, that what is the purpose of this particular use effect. Apart from that, if it is doing something and you need to release something, release the connection or free your resources, try to have the return statement in your use effect. Then you have used use layout effect. You have used local storage here. So what I will do is, let me search this local storage. Okay, so it is in this file only. Uh, so what you can do is create a utility class, or maybe the local storage class. Try to separate out your storage logic over there, rather than having it directly in your storage context. So there is a pattern called facade pattern that everyone can use. What it will do is, all the internal things are happening in the deep layer. What you have to do is, you just have to call the main methods which will be performing the operations. uh, so what I would recommend is, create a separate local storage class, add some common generic methods to it. Even the manipulation logic can be put over there from the future point of view. Okay. Similarly, I would recommend, like, is you should have the code comment over there. So I am using the total coins, and I am setting all the coins over there. Okay. Uh, so here also, uh, I think you are using total coins, but I'm not sure what is the value of the total coins. You are adding this check. If it is greater than 0, then do this, otherwise set this. I think this logic is not correct. You can better refine this logic as well. Okay, I think that is fine. Now we can move to the other components. Means I will be skimming this now because I think I have given you the overall idea that what is the common pattern, what is the common problem that I see in this application. Another thing, okay, let's see this chart. You can see this dot slash, but in production application where we have multiple files, the nesting can go like anything. Means I have to do like this. Okay, but it becomes very difficult to actually see these even in terms of readability. It is not looking good. What you can actually do is try to explore about absolute paths. So in absolute, if you have defined the absolute path in your configuration, you just have to include it. Means you just have to use like this. You don't have to uh, always use dot slash. That will not be required. Okay. Uh, so in this chart library here, I can see the size of this chart library, 408.6 KBs. This is huge. And if you feel that charts are really necessary for your application, it is fine. And you have to figure out that is this the only library that I should be using, or I have different alternatives that I can use who is having the lesser size. Because you are using this charts library, but it is not like you are including or using all the functions of this library, right? So as a reviewer, I will also see that, okay, what is the purpose of using this particular library, why this is chosen. So whenever we start any project, we see the different functionalities, and based on that we identify the best third party libraries that my application is going to use. Okay, and we get it, means we review it properly, we do the security check analysis of the third party libraries. Only then we allow using those libraries in the application. Okay, so here what I see is we have this custom tooltip. This is again a component. Then we have a graph. This is again a component. Then we have chart. This is again a component. So what I would have done is I would have created the charts folder. Okay, and there I would have created different components, maybe a file called graph.js, and another file chart.js. Means I'm not sure what is the what are these files, the purpose of these files. Similarly, you have added the custom tooltip, right? uh, so what I would have done is I would have created a tooltip component at the top level. Okay, what I would have done is I will create the UI struct folder, and in the UI I will create the tooltip tooltip.js, and I will create a generic tooltip component over there. Okay, but in your case, what you are doing is you are creating the custom tooltip, and you are directly passing the data if it is active and payload, and show this number, right? You are using payload.value. Yeah, this is kind of a custom tooltip only. Rather than having it in this file itself, I would suggest you to create a separate file and put this component over there. Similarly, uh, there is a pattern that I see here. You have used a normal function, the older way of writing the function in JavaScript. Here you have used the arrow function. So this is fat arrow function. This is the normal function in JavaScript. This is not consistent. There must be some reason, and you should be knowing the reason that why you have used function, why you have not used the arrow function. And you should also be knowing that from performance point of view, there is a difference between defining the function like this or defining the function like this. Okay, and then you have to carefully figure out that uh, what is the reason of me defining the function in a particular way. Then we have the graph. In the graph, I think that is fine. Then we have this chart component. In the chart component, okay. So ideally, this file should only be having this chart component. These are the supporting components that you are using in this file. Okay. Uh, in this, let me first see that what it is doing. You are using the state, you are using the context. So here you see that context, use state, then context, then again use state. Try to group them. Okay, all the use states and then your context. Okay, and try to group them as well in case you feel that it is required. Okay, similarly, I can see this return is heavy and I see a common pattern. See, it is a button. Again, this is a button. That's why I was telling you that if you can have a common button component, you can directly call the common button over there. Similarly, in class name, I can see you are using conditional class. Means rather than having it like this, try to create a separate function which should return the class that you should be using. Okay. So it is not a good practice to have the ternary operator and then have a class like this. Means of course you can do that. Everyone is given this flexibility to do that. Uh, but the good way is it will be good if you can, minimize these things, and maybe you can split it or maybe implement this feature in a better way. Similarly, these names, rather than having names like hard coding the names like this, try to have these names from the constant files. Apart from that, what I can see that, see, it is there, these class names are there in every button. So it would have saved a lot of your time if you would have, separated out this button component. Uh, okay, let me skim through this component also. This is a filter component, and size of this return is bigger. And then I see you are using this options. So rather than hard coding the options like this, try to create the array over there. Okay, or maybe in the configuration, or maybe there is some master data where you can, map through all these options rather than having it like this. I would recommend like you can have a mapper function over there, which will ideally this select should be the select component, and this select component should be having the particular values like on click. You have already mentioned, you have already shared, then I will add the options as a prop. So it should be like, I am adding select. Okay, and then I am adding my options. Options is equal to options. Okay, and in this component I will be writing this logic, and all these options should be in the map rather than hard coding these over there. Okay, uh, I'm just control zing it, and now we have this button and this. Okay, so I think that is it. uh, how to move from here. Mm, stop share. Okay. Uh, so I think the candidate name was Harsh. So Harsh, I have completed the review of your application, and I hope that you have got some insights, and not even you, everyone should have got the insights that what is happening in this application. Uh,
Yes.
and
So, yeah, go
it
ahead.
was not only about doing the code review of this particular application. There is a pattern that I have shared. You may see that, okay, there are general things that I have shared, like you should group your imports. Okay, you should add the code comments, right? Apart from that, I have shared that you should be knowing that you should be reusing your, you should have reusability in your application rather than repeating things again and again, right? Apart from that, doing the error handling is very important. Try to have print logs, a separate configuration file where you can enable or disable the logs and all right. So Kashish, do you want me to review the another project as well? Because I have very deeply reviewed this, and
Right,
maybe I can do that, but I'm not sure, means because we may run out of time.
right.
So what do you suggest on that?
So right now, firstly, the review was amazing and it was very detailed. So I
Mhm.
think out of all the React projects, we shortlisted the top four, out of which Harsh React project was the best one that we reviewed. So the other three candidates, like we will be sharing a descriptive or maybe a voice note, something like that to you guys through WhatsApp or mail because we are a little short on time right now. Project was the best one that we reviewed. So the other three candidates, like we will be sharing a descriptive or maybe a voice note, something like that to you guys through WhatsApp or mail because we are a little short on time right now. And apart from that, we have an amazing opportunity for all of you. This was actually a surprise that we are going to have a live hiring test right now, right? So basically, it is a DSA test. I will be sharing the link in the chat box around 6 or 6:1. Right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I hope you all like this masterclass and stay tuned for more such masterclasses. Our next masterclass will be in the first week of February, where we are coming up with a very demanded topic. Stay tuned for it, and it is for both tech and non-tech. That is the best part about it. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining.